Welcome back. This is the
Welcome.
second episode of Italian Politics Explained. I am Fabio Agostini, and today with me we have Mattia. How are you?
Good, very good, thank you.
We are thrilled to discuss the three main topics politics discussed last week. Um, and I will start, if you don't mind, Mattia, with the new security law uh, called in Italian DL Sicurezza. Do you want to introduce the topic,
Uh, yeah,
Mattia?
yeah, 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 thank you. I would say that what we're talking about here is a decree, a security decree to be specific, which in the Italian law is basically a decree that the government can make. Usually should be for matters of urgency, and following that, the parliament has 60 days to approve it or not, this decree. In this specific case, the decree is related to security reasons. To be honest, there are plenty of different things in this decree. It's a bit a big mix of many different things. So we should probably discuss or at least cite some of these things, I would say. There are a sort of immunity for the police when they are in action, and I mean, at least it looks like it's mainly for the police, but in general, it can be extended to self-defense. So a sort of extended immunities for people when they suffer self-defense. For example, for I don't know, if you are the owner of a shop, a jewelry, probably is the best example we can make, and you are victim of a robbery. You can defend yourself, and you have a less risk to be investigated straight away by the prosecutor. Um, there are other part of the security decree that they are related to protest and manifestation. So there are a lot of limitations that are put on not authorized manifestation. For example, you can be held in custody by the police if you are a suspect of committing. It's not clear what, but from my understanding, they can hold you in custody simply because you look dangerous, or it looks like that you can commit some sort of
For
violent acts.
presidents, at least,
Yeah, or you have
if you have a
some
history.
or you have some dangerous tools. This can be another reason, from my understanding. So, and other things included in these security decrees are, which is what, in my understanding, this one I'm gonna mention now is one of the most problematic, and also Mattarella, the president, intervened on this topic, is about immigrants and an immigrant that voluntarily want to go back to their country, basically. Uh, the So the problem here is that a lawyer that is helping an immigrant to 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 go back to the original country, of course, an immigrant without, I suppose, a valid visa to stay in Italy, is gonna get a reward in money from the government if at the end the immigrant goes back. This is the this is quite problematic because there is a big conflict of interest. I think also some lawyers association in Italy, the order of lawyers, flag this point as particularly problematic in this sense because of course the conflict of interest is dangerous. And I want to point out that is the in Italy, like I think in many other democratic countries, you can have a lawyer for free if you cannot afford one. Uh, However, here we are talking about a reward which is directly connected to the outcome. Is the immigrant leaving Italy and going back to the original country? Yes or no? So it's not simply a service that the government is making. And this is also, besides being a conflict of interest from the lawyer itself, is also jeopardizing the independence of the lawyers. So
Yeah,
these are
that's the main thing.
I mean, these are the main things and the main problems. That's why the approval of this decree by the parliament is being heavily debated, I would say. Uh,
Hmm.
I will give back to you soon. Just a brief comment on this is connected to what we were discussing last time. We are in a situation in which governments, this government, but also previous governments, they have a little possibility to do anything in an economical way because there is no money. Consequently, what they can do is to do some sort of propaganda, etc., is to act on these matters, security, or to discuss about the last news. We cited last time the family of the Woods, this famous case. So, and I think it goes in this direction. This security degree, the
And
security, the safety is a topic of the right. They care
and
a
that
lot.
is cheap, right?
It's true. It's true.
Reforming Italian economics is a huge piece of work, but um, writing a law that possibly is going not even have consequences because it's so poorly written that it's not going to pass. Um, it just talks about identity, and yeah, everyone has a say on that. Um, I think you highlighted the main points. First of all, this decree has been just today voted and approved by both branches of the parliament against the opinion of the head of the state. This means that the government promised the head of the state to change it straight away. They they felt they were forced to approve this decree that was bipartisanly um, told to be poorly written. They had to approve it in this form because the 60 days mark of the decree that I think we mentioned earlier was about to expire. So uh, if it wasn't approved today, 60, more than 2 months of work would have gone vanished, and this government doesn't want to appear weak or unable or fluffing around, especially after the defeat of the referendum. So Mattarella pointed out one of the scariest points. It's a clear conflict of interest to pay um, the lawyers for just one outcome, especially if you have in mind what that branch of the Italian law looks like. You have, from one side, lots of people that barely speak Italian and they need translators. But translators are not everywhere all the time. Um, and so in reality is when the lawyer and the client meet and discuss, communication is extremely hard. So it's not hard to imagine cases where the lawyer could wrongfully point or favor or um, I'm actually missing the word, but what I mean is to push for direct the client toward what he thinks is right, and in this case, it could be like a few grand uh, reward versus nothing. So yeah, that is it was extremely puzzling. I heard that other countries have similar measures, like Germany, but similar measures in the terms that voluntary comebacks to the original country of these illegal migrants are favored with a sum of money to make it more um, successful. But yeah, this is clearly not the way of doing. And other than this single topic, this whole security law had a few other comic parts, if not tragic. Like, for example, I don't know if you heard, but there was a little law, modification of a law that made illegal to walk out in the street with a knife, no matter what. So farmers and, for example, mushroom picking association were all allowed to change, or even fishers, because technically they could break the law in that case. If you just go out fishing, you have your rods, you have your bait, and you have your knife. That could become technically illegal, and this just gives a sense of the amateur nature of parts of this government. Um, I feel that is fairly safe to say. Um, do you have any comment on that, Mattia?
Yeah, I mean, probably the repatriation of immigrants repatriation is the the part of this law that is more likely to be against the constitution. That's why probably is the most interesting to discuss, because is the yeah is the one that has more chances to be not constitutional, and the constitutional court for sure we have to rule out something about it. But yeah, moving to other topics, the one of the knife is quite interesting. Knives are also totally legal for underage people. With illegal, I mean they cannot buy in any way a knife, any kind of knife, if you are less than 18. And I also believe that if the blade can be easily hidden, is illegal. Like, I don't know, Swiss knife, for example, because you, I mean, it's not clear there, but I was reading something about like a Swiss knife can be considered problematic because you can hide the blade. So and is another. But yeah, for sure, it can be quite comical because this include also knife that you commonly use in the kitchen, for example. So overall, yeah. But again, we have comical part, 100%. Also concerning part, all the part related to protest, the manifestation, etc., is clearly designed to suppress the opposition, to suppress any sort of critique, to limit the power of people to criticize the government, to go against the government. Uh, is probably we can dare to say, I would say, that we are in front of a bit of fascism in some part of this law, and everything is thought to do some propaganda and gain votes. For example, the one of the repatriation of immigrants is clearly done um, to maybe increase the numbers of repatriations, and so at the end, next year, when we are going to be in election time, they can say, oh, thanks to us we had 10%, 20% more repatriation. The one of the knife that you just mentioned is designed because recently we had some small crimes. I think they were mentioning a student somewhere in Italy that used a knife against the teacher or something like that. And again, they this chasing the news, chasing the last news. There were some crimes connected to the use of knives, and so you chase the news and you put it in. I think in Turin there were some manifestation and protests that they were a bit, maybe a bit violent or something, and again you chase the news there, and so you include some limitation there. So you chase the news, and also you try to use that to favor your political path. This is what I see in this kind of laws, plus including some historical battles of the Italian right wing, that is, I don't know, the self defense, this is sort of immunity for the police, and so on and so forth. Um, this is what I see in this decree.
Yeah, I think you are totally right. As a second topic, we discussed to talk about the Italian-Israeli military cooperation agreement that was not renewed by the head of the government, Giorgia Meloni. This happened last week. It's quite important because this is possibly the first real fact that concrete, concrete deed that the government took to make manifests, to signal their um, their disagreement with how Israel is behaving, how Israel is behaving within their borders and out of their borders, really. Uh, this is all happening, as everyone knows. The war in the Middle East, the war in Iran is still going. Maybe it's on hold, it's frozen or somewhat frozen, but it is quite significant that the government took the courage to go against a historic ally as Israel is. Just to give a few key points, Italy within Europe, unlike Spain, has been one of the best allies of Israel in the let's say since October the 7th, since the Hamas terrorist attack around Gaza in Israeli territory. Now, as often happens in Italian politics, things happen, but it's a little bit unclear why they do happen. Um, some people say, and I agree with those people, that Israel is committing a genocide. But Italy didn't say anything and kept selling weapons to Israel. Now, Israel blocked the Archbishop of Jerusalem from performing the ritual mass in the main church of Jerusalem, and that became a major political news, so big that Netanyahu had to step in and authorize that. And that was the first moment when Italian government, the right-wing government, decided to do something, to be a little bit more vocal about it, just about Hamas, while they've been silent for 50 plus thousand people killed, the large majority of which they were civil, they were in hunger, and the whole their whole civilization is being attempted to be taken down. Now, is this the start? Is this the stop, the non-renewal to the military cooperation agreement, the start of something bigger, in your opinion, Mattia?
I, I'm not I'm not sure, but This agreement between Italy and Israel was supposed to be an automatic renewal, unless Italy or Israel, one of the two, decides otherwise. And in this case, Italy decided to pause at least the renew for now. I think they have until October to go back and decide to change their mind and renew it. But besides that, uh, about the position of Italy on the Israel and Gaza situation compared to Spain, for example, as you mentioned, I do believe that part of the Italian government position so far, also depends from Trump and United States. Giorgia Meloni and in general the current government is and was, at least, maybe it's better to say was, quite aligned on Donald Trump policies, including the strong support towards Israel. Now the situation is degenerated, and so probably is degenerated so much and to a point that it's not convenient anymore uh, for electorally wise, I would say, for for the Italian government to fully support Trump and consequently Israel, or even Israel directly, because the war in Iran is creating a massive problem in Italy, like in many other countries in the world. For It's an inflation problem mainly. The cost of fuel and energy and everything is going up a bit everywhere. So you cannot ignore this. So is I mean, it's a bit cynic what I'm saying, and but I think it's very pragmatic as well. Is in first place an electoral move. Also because if I'm not mistaken, the support, the Italians, they don't support much Israel at the moment. So this is the number of Italians supporting what Israel is doing is sort of limited. The majority of Italians don't support what Israel is doing. So for the government, also in the considering the election next year, is something to take into account. Then moving to my opinion about the thing is, yeah, we hope something is moving in this regard. I think there is no problem in calling genocide works. I think uh, if you go and you read the definition of genocide, what had happened in Gaza fits perfectly, 100%. Uh, there is almost no doubt that that was a genocide or is a genocide. What had happened and what's going on. So let plus we have to add all the situation with Iran, all the situation with Iran. So let's hope that this move of Italy is going towards also a shift in the European position overall, not simply the position of single states like Spain, so single European members like in the case of Spain, but is complicated. We have also to remember the position of Germany is probably the most complicated for historical reason. For Germany to go against Israel is very complicated. So uh, let's see what's happened there. Yeah, I hope this is not simply one thing that, yeah, it, it's something that was a must. It was something to do. To be honest, the cancel the automatic renewal. Let's hope it's not the last thing. Let's hope it doesn't end here, and we will hear more things from European members, but also from the European Union itself.
Mattia, people often say that Meloni is a good tactical leader, and I believe this is one example. Um, she's a little, she's told to be risk adverse, And she might be, in this case, she just marked her opinion to her electorate, um, again, with a totally free and not purely ideological, because it's going to have some consequence to a degree, move. On the other side, I don't believe that Meloni is completely clear in her behavior and in what she believes in, or it should be done, because in Europe at the moment, between the major countries, she with the chancellor of the German government, Friedrich Merz, they are the two who are trying to slow down the most any kind of resolution or practical act against Israel in terms of halting weapon selling or ammunition selling, or even putting sanctions on, as we did with Russia, as we did for a long time with Iran as well. I don't think this Iran war is going to is playing in favor of a clear act against Israel, to just play our political role, put some pressure on the government to achieve the outcome that we think is it will be the most positive, which will be to stop, at least stop all the military action that they're taking out in a little bit. I mean, in so many countries of the Middle East. But I think that as long this war goes on, Italy and Israel are going to play in the same field with the US, and that's a strategic matter. So that's not going to change. So our options are, the option of this government are still very limited. If you don't mind, I will move on to the third topic of the day.
I will quickly add 2 sentences about this. Then we go to the
Totally.
last topic. Yeah, I agree with you. As I say, Germany and Italy, yeah, they are the two most problematic in this regard now in Europe. Germany, for probably historical reason that we all know, and Italy because of this strong connection with Donald Trump. I'm not saying they are the only reasons.
And historical reason as well.
Yeah, and historical reason as well. Yeah, yeah. I'm not saying they are the only reasons. I don't want to be naive on that, but they are the most obvious, I would say. About this being sort of pragmatic in electorally wise, yeah, and we have also to consider that in the last election in 2022, we had the Democratic Party and the Five Star Movement divided. Now, we think it's likely, let's say it's likely, we all think, and it's likely that these two parties they will go together. So for Meloni to win again in 2027 is going to be a challenge. So we have also to consider that. So everything that Meloni is going to do for now until the next election, she will keep this in mind, and we have to keep in mind this detail when we comment on the action of the government. This is what I want to. We can close now this topic here, but I think it was important to underline this.
And probably we'll touch on that in another episode of Italian Politics Explained very soon, because everyone is talking about it in the Italian politics. How the electorate law works, what parties are pushed to do in terms of alliances. Yeah, that's all very interesting for geeks of politics like us. Hopefully, we can share some of our enthusiasm with the others soon. So, third topic of the night is the clash between Trump and the Pope. Why are we talking about this? Technically, they're two foreign political leaders. Well, whatever the Pope says in Italy is going to have a major repercussion. It's going to get to the headlines. And rule number one of Italian politics: always please the Pope and
Can
the Catholics.
can I give a bit of context here because maybe people don't know.
Yeah, go on.
The Italian Constitution is the only constitution in the world that mentions a foreign state in the constitution itself. Usually, a constitution is a monologue, so it's talking only about one country, which is the country of the constitution. The Italian constitution is an exception because in the Article 7, if I remember correctly, is mentioned the Vatican State, which is not a foreign state, and it's the only constitution in the world doing so. So
Yeah.
this tell you how is important also constitutionally, I would say.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. It's an exception. I feel like when people are younger, we are more fiery about it. It looks like an injustice. At least for me, as time goes by, I am just finding, myself being more at peace with the idea of having a special relationship and having to deal with it. So, at the start of last week, I believe, Trump fired some shots against the Pope. There was a first time. It was never recorded before, or at least never with this intensity. He said the Pope shouldn't mind U.S. business in this war, basically. He said he's not acting tough enough against crime. Still unclear why Pope should talk about crime as a subject. Well, the main his main business is the redemption of the souls, and he had some comment, or his vice president J.D. Vance did, about theology and the Holy War, which is the narrative that the Trump administration seems to be embracing. The Pope, on the other side, didn't wait much and immediately replied at the same term, very firmly. He said that he's not scared of Trump, which was a pretty bold move because he wasn't trying to be deflective. He wasn't trying to hide the political disagreements, but he candidly highlighted, and I think that was very successful on his end. And Trump kept poking the bear, posting pictures of him, for example, in the clothes of a Jesus, AI-generated pictures, healing a person, and I'm not sure whether Pope Francis the 14th, Francis, that was a lapsus, Pope Leo the 14th, replied to that, but it made clear that their interests are deeply different at the moment, and Vatican is not going to back up. How did you register this interaction, Mattia?
Um, where to start? Firstly, I think it's important to underline one fact. The Pope is important politically wise, especially in international politics. So the opinion of the Pope matters. Then how much nowadays, to which extent, in which way, that can be heavily debated. Fine, but the opinion of the Pope, the words of the Pope, they have an importance. This is that I don't think it can be discussed. They have an importance. Again, we can discuss which kind of importance, how much, on which topics. This can be debated as much as you want, but it has an importance. So this is the first thing I would like to say, and it has an importance in US amongst the Catholic community, which is big. It's not the main because I think the very colorful Protestant population is bigger in numbers, but it's important. And I would like to remember that J.D. Vance is Catholic. This is another important detail. Then the main question here: why suddenly Trump is so interested in the words of the Pope? Uh, I this Pope is American. This I think is the main thing. This Pope is American and is an American Pope taking a position against the action of the American government, which is not so weird because I think that all the people or everyone with a bit of sanity, mind sanity, is against the action of the current president of the United States. But for sure, this Pope being American is important, and Trump is simply trying to fight against the opinion of an important American citizen. This is what I would say. Uh, he's doing it in his way. He's doing it in his way. He doesn't like to be contradicted. He doesn't like to have people against him. I don't know if you remember talking about generated video generated with artificial intelligence when he was dropping shit on on people on from an F-35 or something like that. So he's not new to these ridiculous videos for making propaganda of himself. So you never know where is the line there as well. He can go, he can do whatever in this in that regard. Um, about the Pope, what I can say, in my opinion, I do believe that this Pope is way better in handling this matter than the previous one. The previous Pope was terrible in foreign politics. Like, if, in my opinion, of course, like he didn't realize that he was the Pope, and which was the role of the Pope. But yeah, to understand, I think the difference between the last two popes, the current and the former pope, uh, we probably should dig into the history of these two characters. So Pope Francis and now Pope Leo. I think in English they say Leo, and one is Argentine, one was Argentinian. This is American. Is an American with big experience in South America. I think he is also Peruvian citizen, if I remember correctly. Um, I think this is the real situation here. We have an important American citizen, which is the Pope. The voice of the Pope still matters in the world, uh, and at the moment is obviously, I would say, against Trump, and Trump doesn't like that. So is is pretty simple, and I think the Pope is handling the stuff very well. And I'm not a fan of the Pope. I don't want to look. I'm a fan of the Pope. I'm simply commenting what I see. I don't know what you think in this regard.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much aligned on this. What really impressed me was to see the timeline of Giorgia Meloni. So basically, Trump, as his usual, posted this controversial stuff on his social media, Truth, late at night. I think it was something like 2 or 3 in the morning. The Pope had a chat with journalists on his airplane where he was flying to Algeria early in the morning, and or maybe not early in the morning, mid-morning. So the government was told by Giorgia Meloni to not release any comment because she thought that the whole con- controversy could just deflate by itself if the Pope didn't. If the Pope chose so. He clearly didn't choose so. So she was forced to take a stand. And she stood with Pope Leo, with the Vatican, let's say, not with the person. But it took her 12 hours to release a comment. And the first comment, public comment, was not even that harsh against Trump. So she is clearly in an awful situation because her biggest allies and one of her biggest sponsor, who is Trump, um, is is basically at some kind of verbal war with what the Italian right believes is like their steward, like their guidance, which is the Vatican. And so two of Meloni's main ally, in a way, are just bickering themselves. And as I said before, she is thought to be a very risk adverse leader, and that's why she took so long to take a stand, to take a position. That also talks about the how little willing she is about taking bold position. I believe that could be historical, could have real consequence. She's mostly interested in appeasing the conflict. She knows she can't win, or they're not going to be good for her. And yeah, that is a little bit sad because every hour she supports Trump openly, it's a bad hour for the Italian politics. I also do believe that if she stopped supporting him openly, she will do it in a more hidden way. But that's for the future to tell us, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right. I think this is sort of connected to what we discussed before about the Israel uh, situation. Um, Giorgia Meloni is sort of it's complicated for her to clearly take a side in this moment. Going against the Pope is not probably convenient for this government, for Giorgia Meloni. Maybe if it was the previous Pope that he wasn't very popular amongst more conservative Catholics, was easier. So, and she is very aligned with Trump at the same time, so she cannot take a side for this reason. Plus, we have to consider also the international situation. So the topic we are discussing here is the is the Iran war, the support to Israel, etc. So if you consider the two sides, so the Pope and Trump on one side, plus if you consider the topic itself, uh, she is not in a good situation. For her, is not convenient to take either side, and so she's trying to survive in the middle, try to find a balance. I don't know, which is almost impossible in my opinion, but she doesn't have probably any other choice. If
Yeah, it
not,
reminds me those situations when two of your friends, of your good friends, have an argument and then look at you, waiting for you to, you know, to say who you support or whose argument you support,
yeah, yeah.
and
And the problem
she
is also
really hope.
the problem in this case that the argument itself is quite complicated, quite hot, I would say, which is because we're talking about the Middle East, the situation in Middle East. So it's not any argument. It's not any argument. Is a critical. Is a very critical argument. So
Well,
yeah.
if you say Middle East in general, yes, extremely complicated. If you say Iran war, in my opinion, extremely simple, because this was a crazy Trump move that
I know. I know.
is going against.
I'm talking. I mean, for us. I mean, yeah. In our opinion, of course. I'm more talking about. Um, I was more trying to think like for her. Of course, the best thing to do should be to disengage completely from Trump position, not simply to support the Pope, but in general, and completely go against him and go against the current United States and Israel as well. Of course, I don't think she can afford to do this, or at least she doesn't seem keen to do it 100% at the moment. This is I don't know why. I don't know why. Personally, I always tend to look that in an electoral way because I have always the feeling that politicians, especially in Italy, they mainly look at that. So they do and they say stuff thinking about how many votes I can gain, especially politicians like Giorgia Meloni. Okay, so and some the point is sometimes they find themselves in situation in which either way can make you lose votes or win votes, and it's not so straightforward. Oh, I do A and I get votes. I do B and I lose votes. So of course I do A. There are some situations like this one in which is a bit more complicated, and they struggle in those moments, and this is what I see. Yeah, then
And it's always frustrating when it's the head of the government thinking this way, because um, from the rule book of politics, you should spend the political capital you accrued while you were at the opposition doing stuff that is good for your country, for your community, while you are in power. And it's kind of given that power wear and tear. So if chances are you're going to be replaced by someone else, maybe your opponent. Um, but yeah, this is a whole different topic. Mattia, thank you so much for tonight.
thank you to you, Fabio.
It has been a pleasure as we approach the hour of our conversation. I think um, it's safe to say goodbye um, to all our audience.
Goodbye, everyone, and see you next time.
See you next week.